Welcome everyone to another CTC software webinar. My name is Chris Bircher, Director of Technical Services here at CTC, and today we are going to review a few common technical issues that you may run into while utilizing our tools and trying to set up our accounts. And we're going to talk a little bit about them and how to resolve them and what some options are for doing so. But before we begin, if you have questions throughout the presentation today, please use the questions panel. I will be monitoring that and we'll answer them in line as we go. As long as it relates to the topic that I'm discussing at the moment, there will be time taken at the end to answer anything else that comes in. If you are watching the recorded version on our YouTube channel, please use the comment section below to ask your questions. We monitor those as well, and we'll make sure that you get your questions answered. So with that said, let's get going. Now, at CTC, in our support department, we keep records of all the support tickets that come in. And we learn from them, we log them, we have our own little internal knowledge base for that. So if common issues come up, we can fire back and go after them and quickly respond with the answer. Now, because we get a lot that are the same, thought we might go ahead and share those with you guys today. So we're doing it a little bit different. We're not doing a product demo per se. We're going for how to get over some support hurdles. Now, so a couple of topics we're going to discuss today are some licensing issues, some of the more common ones that pop up that may come across your plate at some point. We're also going to discuss what some of the different pop-ups are that you may see, what you run into, and how to address those, or what they're referring to, quick way to fix them. And we'll get into the portal a little bit. We'll talk about user accounts and how to manage some of that stuff and things that you may run into. We'll get into the Revit space a little bit and talk about what happens if something appears that it's locked up, or if you know for a fact that the app is missing or not launching correctly. And then a couple other tips and tricks that will get peppered in throughout. So first off, when it comes to licensing and managing that, whether it's just obtaining a license in your CTC products in Revit or in Civil 3D, or managing accounts in the portal, there's a few really common things that come up. User can't log in, right? So we're using all cloud shared licensing now, and a user can't log in to get a license. Gives them an error, like unable to get licensed, please try again later, or they get a notice that says their account's blocked, maybe in CMS. They get the license type is unknown, or they'll get this window here in general, the product and license information window, and not know what to do with it. It says unknown. There's nowhere to enter an account information or anything like that. Or you're in the portal trying to set accounts up, and you get an oops message that says this account already exists. So how do we handle some of that stuff? And we're going to show you how to do all of this. But for the most part, it's all about just clicking OK and yes, right? So with this particular license error here, if you get this unable to get a license, chances are if you click yes to check the license settings, you'll then get brought into this window next. Not always, but if you see this, generally, this is where you'll end up second in the product and license information window. At this point, it's required that you provide an authenticated account, so username and password, to gain access to a CTC license. So to do that, you can just click OK, and the license dialog will appear. Type in your username and password that you've defined, and you should get a license. If you haven't ever done that before and you're trying to activate a trial, it'll tell you right here, if you just click here, it will get that ball rolling for you. It'll help you get account created and then you can go ahead and create or get a license associated. And we'll jump into the portal to talk about this account already exists message here in a second. So I'm actually going to switch over to Revit real quick just to show you this. So if I go, any one of these really, we'll open Dimension Checker. So it popped over here. Here we go. I get the unknown license type. And so what this is telling you is that it doesn't know what type of license you have. And this may happen a couple of different ways. Brand new install, might not know. Chances are though, if you're upgrading from a network license to a cloud shared license, it may not be able to determine, we don't do network licensing anymore, right? We stopped that in 24.3 was our last supported network license version. So an upgrade from then to now to any 25. whatever, maybe even 26.0, you would potentially get this message. If your accounts have been set up, you should just be able to click OK. You'll get prompted with a login and away you go. In my case, I've already been signed in with a different CTC product, so it just magically worked. And now it's going to understand that I'm logged in. This window will update and away you go. But if you just kind of follow through the steps, it'll take you through a lot of this without knowing much of anything at all. Now, if you're having issues with that, there is one little text file stored on everyone's machine. I'm going to point this out to you real quick. If I can find my window, sorry, I've got my question panel up and it's blocking me from seeing a few things. I apologize. And here, there we go. In this window here, see users public CTC software license settings. You'll get a suite specific licensing.txt file. Each one of these text files tells our products what the license type needs to be. Now, by default, they're set to be unknown, and based off the license type defined, it should update to cloud shared, right? That's all we can do right now. So if it is stuck at unknown and clicking OK is not allowing you to get past that, you can edit these text files and type in cloud shared as you see here, hit save and close the license window and try again. It should then at that point prompt you for a login. If you were successfully authenticated previously and you're not able to pull a license for whatever reason, there is one other sneaky cool fix that you can try, and that is the CTC sign out utility, which depending on the type of installer you have varies slightly in location, but it's ultimately either multi-user installers program data CTC software authenticator. Single user installer will be C users, your username, app data roaming, CTC software authenticator. And there's this CTC sign out utility. If you just double click this, it'll force sign you out of everything CTC and remove the token, which clears the cache effectively, allowing you to attempt to sign in again. So sometimes that happens. We see it with our CMS and every now and again with a cloud license with our BIM suites. But just keep that kind of tucked away in your back pocket. It solves more than you would think it does. So if you're ever having authentication style issues in your products, try that utility out. It works wonders. I'll just put it that way. I use it if it's an odd duck. Okay. So that's those. I'm going to jump into the portal here real quick and point out the user create part. There's a couple of different answers to this one. So if I go to my users tab and I'm going to try to create a new user real quick, and I'm just going to go Sean, and whatever, it doesn't matter what his name is. Yeah. This is not his real email, by the way, so don't attempt to email to it. just typing in a couple passwords here. You know, this is all part of the typical account creation process in the portal. When you click create, if I didn't fat finger my password here twice, there we go. You'll get this message. Never. And tells you that the account already exists. And in small text below it, it says, please check the following locations: pending, active, disabled, or deleted. Okay. Now, so there's a couple of different places to check live in the portal. Okay. Now, if you go through those operations here, so we're going to check our filters over here for disabled and or deleted. I go to disabled, not here in this list. You can check deleted to see if there's any users in this list, or last but not least, you can check pending users. The pending users group is an auto filter set up for anyone that tried to access a license that did not have an account already created. So if you had a new hire and they tried to log into ctcsoftware.com or to any one of the apps and they didn't have a license, it would attempt to self-register them with your company, and they would show up in this list. Any org admin or user admin would get an email about this, or they're supposed to get an email about this. It might show up in your junk or your spam filter, might grab it if you're not seeing these. But you should get an email saying, hey, someone attempted to sign in to the portal that didn't have an account. What do you want to do? Do you want to approve it? Do you want to reject it? So, and which is just a simple come to the portal, go to pending users, check the box, hit finish. If the account you're trying to add is not in the pending users list, it's not in the active users list, and it's not in disabled and or deleted, it's not in any of those locations, then the last thing is that they were added to someone else's account. And that could have happened if an invitation from another company was sent out to collaborate, say, in their Nexus CMS libraries. Maybe there's a joint project going on, and we are sharing a CMS content library. Invites typically get sent out to those that would be on the other from the other firm on that project. If they didn't have a license of CMS allocated at that time, effectively they get added to the other company's license pool so that they can work in CMS. So it's possible that that could happen too. And that is something that we can assist with repairing and getting cleaned up. So if that happens, just reach out to us. We can help you out. But I want to point out that you should check these other 3 locations first. Obviously, check the active user list, make sure they're not already there. Check pending users to see if they tried to self-register, or check the disabled and or deleted buckets here to see if they were once in the system and then been removed. I have to add that if you add a user and you typed and you wanted to, and it wasn't working for whatever reason, and you wanted to say delete it and try again, delete doesn't actually delete it. It moves it to a deleted group or a bucket here, but it's not physically being deleted from the system. And that is so that we don't inadvertently orphan any existing data elsewhere. So you're better off editing the account and trying to get things cleared up that way. And if you're having extended issues with that, just reach out to us. We are always happy to help out if we can, or when we can, I should say. Okay, so that pretty much covers those. I'm gonna jump back here. Now, getting into more of the Revit stuff. Apps won't open. The app is missing. Revit's locked up. I'm getting, these messages when I fire up Revit, but this suite's not working, that suite won't load. Or there's a couple of other ones that would happen in this case, and this one's a pretty straightforward one to get through. However, some of these other ones get a little confusing and throw people off. And actually, frankly, they all throw people off. When it comes to apps not appearing to open, or Revit appears to be locking up, or it's missing, it could be this scenario right here down at the bottom. You try to open up an app, say Schedule Excel, and your ribbon grays out because Schedule Excel is in focus, right? That's the app you're supposed to use. But Schedule Excel doesn't look like it's opening, right? And this could happen to any product, right? Schedule Excel is just an example. Chances are it opened up off the screen. Quick way to find out if that actually happened is hover over your Revit icon. And if you see Revit, but then you also see the other app that you tried to open pop up, but it's a blank white screen, that's a clear indication that yes, it's opened up off the screen somewhere and I need to bring it back somehow. Okay. A couple of reasons why that would happen is if you're on a laptop, you had your tools open on, say, one of your extended monitors, and then you close everything down, you unplugged your monitor, you went to a conference room, and you connected to the TV in the conference room. When you fire up the program, Revit, and then Schedule Excel, it's not the same monitor that you had it back at your desk. So it opens off where it thinks it needs to open. Sometimes you get lucky and monitor 2 is monitor 2 no matter what. Oftentimes it doesn't pop up in the right spot, or vice versa. You were in a conference room and now you're going back to your desk. Same issue, right? So easy thing to fix. And I'll show you that here in a second. Actually, I'll just show it to you right now. Now, I'm going to pull that up exactly. So with Schedule Excel, in this case, because that's how I set this up kind of on purpose here. I click the button, app is open. However, my ribbon's grayed out, okay? And I can't do anything. I click a button, Revit's beeping at me, can't do anything because something else is active and expecting input. So I would have to go back and close it. And what it is that Schedule Excel's open off the screen or where a monitor was expected to be and is not there. So if I gotta kind of escape out of that real quick. If you have Schedule Excel as the active icon or as the active app, right? You just opened it, you noticed immediately that it's missing. You can do a quick little trick in hitting the Alt key on your keyboard and pressing spacebar. And what'll happen is a little window will pop up off to the side, indicating where the app effectively is located. So mine's way off on the right here, and I'll see if I can drag this. Nope, it won't let me. Okay, I'll take a quick screenshot of it so you can see it. If it'll let me. Yep. Okay. So it looks like this here, and it was off to the right side of my laptop screen. Right, so I'm presenting off my second monitor right now. It's off to the right side, and what I want to do is select Move to lock it to my mouse cursor. Okay, so there's a couple of different ways you can do that. So if I do this again, and with it active, Alt spacebar, M, you can hit M on your keyboard for Move, which enables that command. And then you can press any arrow key on your keyboard. That attaches the app in question to your cursor so that you can drag it back. And then you can click to place it anywhere you want. And now, in this case, Schedule Excel is back. It can happen with any product. I've done it with Autodesk products, with Revit, and some of the other add-in windows that appear. I've had to do it with ours at times. A number of different products out there. That can happen, especially if you're taking laptop home, hooking up to a monitor at your house, or from your house back to work, or your desk to the conference room, and vice versa, right? It can happen if you're connecting and disconnecting various monitors. If that's something you're doing frequently, I strongly suggest going into options for any of the tools and unchecking the remember size and position box. What this will force the apps to do is open on your main monitor all the time. But so it may not be as convenient. However, you will never have another missing app again regarding our product. It will always just force it to open on your main screen every single time. So again, like I said, I'm using my second monitor right now. If I clicked on Schedule Excel again, it's going to open up on my second monitor or on my main monitor, which is my laptop. And then here it is. But I didn't have to do the Alt space bar. It just opened on my second screen. So important thing to remember, every single one of our apps has this checkbox. So keep that in mind. Revit's not actually locking up. The tool is working. It's just hiding somewhere in the abyss of missing monitor screens, or the previous monitor that you had. Okay, now I'm going to go back into that launch error real quick. Every now and again, we run into issues with some of our setups, or the installs that we're working from, right? And you'll run into Revit cannot run the external application, whatever product. You might see it with ours, you might see it with some Autodesk ones, you might see it with some other third-party add-ins that you've added. Often, potentially it's the same. This fix could apply to many of the different pieces here. The first thing to check always is that you're on a current version of the product you've installed, in our case, BIM Suites. Make sure that you're up to date with your Revit, or relatively up to date with your Revit. Oftentimes we code against the latest version, and we always code against the latest version, and sometimes that renders previous versions incompatible. Sometimes, not always. We try very hard to accommodate all versions and all updates. Every now and again, we don't have much of a choice. It's the card we get dealt working with Autodesk developers. So make sure you're up to date as much as you possibly can to be able to do your job. Now, the other things that could happen there's a handful of other things that we could do in this case to address it. And I'm going to start in the portal here. When you download your products in the first place, okay, make sure you are downloading the right installer, okay? We have two different types of installers. So I was in the portal and I clicked the downloads button here to get to the downloads page for our software. And I'm in the BIM Suites download right now. We have a multi-user installer. We have a single user installer. I alluded to this briefly a few minutes ago. Multi-user is your enterprise style deployment software, right? So it installs to the machine. So program files, program data, style install. It applies to everyone that has access to that machine and requires that admin privileges are present during said install. If you are not a local admin, or you are not provided installation privileges on your machine, you will not be able to install this. You will have to have elevated privileges to run this installer. It's kind of like a run as admin call. Someone types in a username and password for you, boom, now they can run the install. On the flip side, there's the single user installer. This installs to that one user who ran it and no one else. So if I were to install this on my machine, and then my colleague Adam logged onto my machine and tried to use the tools, he would not be able to because he did not install them, right? This also does not require elevated privileges to run the core install of the BIM Suites, or any suite in this case. Nexus Suite has the same options. Our Sim Suites have the same options. So you want to be sure to know which one you want and download it accordingly. If you are going to the Autodesk App Store to download products, by default, you're getting the single user install, and that's okay. It's perfect for doing a quick trial run. and seeing if the products have what you're looking for. But once you've made your purchase, you want to come here and make sure you get the appropriate version for you and for your group, for your firm. 9 times out of 10, multi-user is probably what you're going to want. And maybe every now and again, single user is going to be the best fit. So it really just depends on your firm, what you're doing, and how the software needs to be deployed. Second to that, after you download from here, I'm just going to go ahead and do that real quick. It's a quick download. And this is for anyone doing a self-install or for the IT folks out there, don't just double click the zip file and run with it, right? You want to extract the contents of the zip file and you'll see the MSI within. Then you can run the installer. Running an install from a zipped folder is never going to provide a good outcome. Things aren't always going to get extracted during that install process. And to be frank, I have never seen it work certainly with none of our products or any other installer that I've ever downloaded. So make sure you extract it first, and then you could potentially run it. There's one other thing that commonly gets missed and can affect the quality of the install and present errors like we saw when launching Revit. And that is Windows Defender tends to think we need to block files, but it doesn't block it in the way, say, your Chrome would do it, or your firewall does it. It just puts a little property on it and says it's blocked, right? And I'm doing air quotes for blocked because it's only partially blocked. And that's a right-click option here. So if you right-click the download, whether it's the zip or the extracted version of that zip, and go to properties, you'll see it right here. Let's get this out of the way. Right here, unblock. So because the file came from another place and might be blocked to help. So if you see that, it's very likely that if you unzipped this and tried to run the install, that you'd run into some problems. So you can do this at one of two places. You can do this at the zip folder level, check the box for unblock and click apply, or you can extract the contents first, right? It still allows you to unzip it and then unblock the MSI the same way. So if I'm just gonna cancel it, but all you have to do is check that box, click OK or apply, either one will work. And then you can unzip the file or the folder like you would normally. So I'm extracting it right now. I'm gonna bring it back over. Here's my extracted folder. Oh, not that one. Cancel that one. And you can right click the MSI, go to the properties here, and again, you'll get that same unblock option. You click unblock, click OK, go ahead and run your installs as you see fit. The nice thing about doing it at the zip folder is that it takes care of everything within. So the PDF technically is blocked too, but we're not installing the PDF. So, and that is a pretty common thing. Generally speaking, if you're getting those messages upon launch, it's very likely a bad install. So you can run a reinstall and make sure that you do this unblock process, or first to check to see if it needs to be unblocked. Yeah, okay. There's another piece that I wanted to point out real quick. In our installation and configuration guides. So one of the other common things that you'll run into is if you try to run the install and you don't have 100% admin rights. You're pretty close, right? But it's not perfect. Oh, whoa, see, I don't have access to some things. That's fun. Yeah, so I must not be logged in with the right account. So that's okay. I'm gonna do this instead. We're gonna go back to here and I'm gonna open the PDF that comes with the installer. Now, when you are running your installs, there is a point after the install when you're launching Revit where you will get a notice about, and the user guide explains a lot of the stuff that I've talked about so far today. So if you have additional questions on that, refer to the user guide. Big time. There's a message in here that states that the license or Revit can't run the product because it's missing an executable, or it's missing, I shouldn't say an executable, it's missing a file set. And that is it's being blocked by the administrator. I'm just trying to find the call in here so I can point it out to you guys. It was an afterthought, but it's important to point out. Well, that's all right. I guess it's, no, it's not here. Okay, I'm just not, I'll save you guys the watching me scroll through it. But effectively what it is there's a product, there's a part of the installer that can't run without elevated privileges. And actually there's a couple of things. There's a new service that we applied called CTC Access, right? That even on a single user install, you're going to want to have elevated permissions for that, so you can check, and CTC Access checks for updates and notifies you of updates available. And the reason why that requires some elevated privileges is because it potentially installs to program files, where most of our stuff typically doesn't. So that's step one, or part one. CTC Access could be pointing that out. The other piece to this is within the BIM suites and or SIM suites, or Nexus suite for that matter, there is another exe file that needs to run that can't because of a lack of elevated privileges. And it'll tell you right in the error message. So it looks similar to this, but instead of saying system exception, it'll say Revit 2025. And that's how you know that you need to go, and it'll tell you in the message, if you expand the details, go to the user guide, this section in the user guide, and it'll tell you where the service is and how to get that applied to your machine so that you don't get this message anymore. But it has to do with the .NET 8 upgrade that came out in Revit 25, and we'll keep it from launching effectively in your Revit session, but only for 25 and 26 potentially if you haven't already run it. So I just wanted to point that out. It would not affect 24 and older, just 25 and newer potentially. Okay, now, we're still here. So last but not least, there's a couple other things that I want to point out. One of the services that we offer as for Plotter Exporter, Family Loader, and Import Link Manager is the ability to use your files on ACC or BIM 360. Okay, we have this beautiful little connection called the CTC ACC connector, and that's an Autodesk Cloud app that we've written that helps establish the connection from the apps on your Revit machine to your projects in your ACC or BIM 360 hub. For this to work for you, you need to have it enabled on your Autodesk or AC Construction Cloud or BIM 360 account, right? And that will work for your projects and anyone who has access to those projects. If you are partnering with another firm and they are hosting the projects, for you to be able to use any of these three apps on those projects, they will also need to enable the CTC software ACC connector. It's a free activation. We don't charge for it. You can go to the Autodesk Hub and enable that pretty much at any point, whether you've got the products installed on your machine or not. You can always just enable it. And I have that pulled up here, or I did, unless nope, it's right here. Nope, well, I must have closed it. Let's just get it back up. So right now I'm in my Autodesk Construction Cloud. I can click on apps right here, and that will bring you to the apps, ACC App Store effectively, where you can scroll down to CTC software, ACC connector, click on the icon and click enable effectively. And it'll ask you a couple questions and you just click allow and you're good to go. It's active, it's in your portal. Any account administrator for your ACC hub should be able to do this without issue. If you are using the old school method of BIM, of BIM 360, right? You're still using the older hubs. You go to apps here, which will then bring you to the same list of plugins. Scroll down to CTC and do the same thing. Right? So two different style or two different looking accounts, it's the same connector at the end of the day. And everybody needs to apply it. The second one that I wanted to point out is this one right here, which is an error message that may pop up from time to time that says, really where it says is the exception, the path is not of legal form. This happens frequently, I guess, semi-frequently. And really what it boils down to is that the file hasn't been saved. A lot of our tools do require that the file has been saved before the tools can run. And that is simply just to make sure that the data that we are working with is the most latest and greatest version of said data, like with Spreadsheet Link, for example. We want to make sure that the file has been saved and is current so that we can extract the information so that you can do the reporting that you need to do. There's a handful of our tools that will present this error message. And all that's saying is that the file hasn't been saved yet. Now, that could be file new project and you want to try to use a product, or you opened a file detached because you didn't think you need to save it for whatever reason. You just wanted to extract some data from it. That's fine if you don't want to save it. Then you should just open a local and do Spreadsheet Link or run the app real quick. And then just don't save the file when you're done. And that's okay too. But our tool just requires, some of our tools, not all of our tools, some of them do require that the file is saved first. And that, there's one final thing that I want to point out. If you have additional issues or you got through some of this stuff and you still have questions or something else comes up that you need help with, just reach out. Tech support at ctcsoftware.com or support at ctcsoftware.com, or go to our portal and click contact support, or call us. And there's so many different ways to get a hold of us if you have questions. And I'll just go to I'm just going to pull it up real quick, just cause. Support. You can contact our sales team. You can call us. Just reach out. If you're logged into your portal, you can log a ticket here. Click on support. You can create your own ticket that way. It all comes to us. And I tell people don't spend more than 20 minutes beating your head against the wall trying to figure something out. If it takes longer than that, you've spent too much time on it. Reach out. Create your support case. We're here to help you. That's, we don't charge for support. If you got a support question, just let us know. And with that, I'll conclude today's presentation. I want to say thank you. Hopefully you saw something here that is helpful and answered some of your questions, or maybe you can refer back to this at a later date when something comes up. And so thank you. It's been a pleasure. We'll see you at the next webinar. Take care, everybody.